Welcome to Spotlight on Frazee. And as you know, sometimes we get out in the field around the area, sometimes we're at the river, but you know, we have so many interesting people and things around our lakes area. And today we're at Ulmer Stoneware with Jim Ulmer. Hi Jim, welcome to Spotlight on Frazee.
Thank you very much. Nice to have you out here.
And so you're going to show us how to throw a pot today.
Right, I'll throw a pot real quickly while we're talking. My wheel, it just turns around, okay, and there's a bunch of clay on top of here, and I stick a board on it just so I can get the pot off, you know, easily. And there's a lot of processes, and I've had 37 years experience, and I think I've thrown over 100 tons of pots in that time.
Then we were just talking before we went on the air, you know, you had cut a piece of clay and you said you go through 3 tons of clay roughly a year?
Approximately.
It's a lot of clay, people. And if you've never done this, you know, you can watch Jim here. And I've thrown pots in the past, but it takes me a lot longer, and mine don't look anything like Jim's do when they come out. I was much better, I think, at the slab work.
Well, I do a lot of that. I do, you know, wheel work, but I do a lot of hand-constructed pieces just because I like that they look differently, and they get me into a different position.
You know, there were a lot of us in the 70s that were involved in different type of artistic endeavors. We had macrame people, we had artists as far as painting, and we've had the pottery and jewelers. Some of the jewelers too that are in the area now were starting out back then. But Jim has kept at this all these years and has done a tremendous job of keeping this beautiful work going forward and actually making a living at it too.
For a long time. Yeah, I've been a professional potter for 37 years. I've lived here in Frazee for 33. And you know, Hank, one of the reasons that we have been successful all this time is the help of the community, the people that live in the community, you know, and of course my family and the neighbors, friends, everyone, you know, everybody has played a part in that. It's hard not to think of them as, you know, very important in what's happened. I mean, an example of it is I just built a new kiln last year, and Daga Truck Line brought the bricks from Cleveland here. Ross and Christy Mickelson, we borrowed their trailer, brought the bricks out here. I got a professor from University of North Dakota, Don Miller, and another professor and some students. They came down and helped me build it. And then we built a shelter over the top of that, and Barry Ryerson, the music professor from years ago, he came over and helped us build it. So, I mean, it's really a community effort to keep things going. Yeah,
and I know the first one that I was involved in was when Pat Shannon built his first gas-fired, and I was still in the propane business back in the 70s. That was an interesting experiment. Things have gotten a lot better since then, though. So. And so now we see how great Jim is at throwing a pot. And we're sitting here in a studio, and you know, and I know Ann is involved with you in the business.
Yeah, she takes care of the business aspects of it.
And that leaves you out here in this beautiful, serene atmosphere overlooking the lake here. And I feel that we're lucky to catch you, you know, because if it would have been a warmer day, either you would have been really busy or you might have been out looking for the infamous morel mushrooms this time of year, which a lot of us look for. But
yeah, I'm firing my kiln today, and so I loaded it this morning. And now I'll pay attention to it every hour and watch it, and then in about 12 hours it'll be finished. And that's really an important part of the firing aspects. And so we'll be right back with Jim, and we'll be over at the kiln. So stay tuned on Spotlight on Frazee. Welcome back to Spotlight on Frazee, and we're here with Jim Ulmer at Ulmer Stoneware, north of Frazee. And before we go over to the big kiln, now Jim, you've taken the pot, you know, and we see these other machines in the background here. What's the next process here? Okay. After we make a pot on the wheel, it has to dry. I usually let it dry for a little while. I turn it over and I trim the bottom to get the foot on the bottom of the pot. Then it dries, and when I have enough, these are electric kilns back here, and I fill them up and I fire them to 1750 degrees Fahrenheit, which just makes the pots hard enough to pick up and then to pour the glaze on. And I make all these buckets here contain the glazes that I make. I have a gram scale, I weigh them all out. So that's totally a unique product there. They're mixed with water, and I pour the glazes onto these pieces, and because they're still porous, they still absorb some water and let the glaze stick to it.
Great.
It takes me, what you're looking at right here, all the pots in the shop here, is probably the result of a couple weeks work. It's hard to tell when you see me make a pot in just a couple minutes. That's only the start, and there's a lot of what goes with it. And if I could just slowly walk over here. Once the pots are glazed, this is what the glaze looks like on the pot. Okay, and I actually have one over here that's finished. You just give me a second, I'll grab it. And here's what it looks like finished. Now, you can see the difference, and the pots shrink 14% by the time they're done. So there's been a lot of shrinkage. You can see the difference in the sizes of the pieces. So it's the firing that changes this all. It turns it extremely hard, makes it very serviceable. It's safe to use, to eat off of, and do everything that you'd like to do with it.
All right. Now we'll go over to the gas fire kiln and see the final process. Now we're over with Jim at the big gas-fired kiln that he has here. And now, Jim, it's not warm.
Not yet. These bricks are insulating fire brick. They're, you could hold the end of this brick and the other end can be red hot. That's how much they insulate.
Wow.
And there's 9 inches. They go 9 inches thick. This thing has 50 cubic foot of space inside. That means that 6 people can stand inside of it. And this part of the structure right here and this track down here, the door and the floor, they all roll out. So you roll it out, fill it up with pots, and roll it in.
Just like a big drawer.
Yeah, like a big drawer. And I have 2 gas burners. They're 400,000 BTUs each, and I control the whole firing process, which takes about 12 hours to fire and 2 days to cool.
Okay, now, when you're setting this up, how many weeks of work do you put in the kiln?
Probably there's maybe 3 weeks involved. Throwing for a couple weeks, and then 1 week of actually doing the glazing, and then it takes me about 2 hours to load it, and then the cooling time. So that's about 3 weeks approximately for what's in there.
And then now I know you go to a lot of the shows around the area.
I do that.
And so where could we find some of your things, Joe?
Okay, an easy way would be to go to ulmerstoneware.com. That's my website. You can go there, and you can get all kinds of information, the shows that I go to. And I do art fairs. That's like Detroit Lakes Street Fair's coming up, that one. And all the way to, I go as far as Florida, all the coasts. I'll be in Ann Arbor, Michigan this summer, Pennsylvania. I travel a lot, so I do local things. And then also, every time we open this kiln up, when the pots are finished, we send out emails to people who are interested, and we have a big event here. Everything's displayed that comes out of the kiln, and we have a kiln opening. That's one of the things that we do that's locally in the area. And our kiln openings draw from a long way. I've had people drive up from Minneapolis and come from Wisconsin. So we have an interest, you know, that's heartwarming, I guess I should say, that everyone likes to come out and see what's going on. And we invite you to come out and see it.
Okay. We really appreciate this, Jim.
Thank you, Hank.
And we'll catch you. Look for Jim on his website, and we'll catch you next week on Spotlight on Frazee with something new.